Hey, thanks for joining me. How you doing? I don't know. Hey, what's up? JSPOT here. This is a bit of a different angle than you're used to seeing. Just kind of another side of the table, if you will. This is actually the seat that I usually sit at when I do my Tuesday night stream Gunpla with my wife, where I build Gunpla with my wife and anyone else who happens to stumble on over. Uh, we're all trying to use it as a little bit of a zen moment where we get to catch up on the week, build a little Gunpla, relax, chit chat with anybody who joins us in the chat. It's been a really fun time so far, and if you haven't joined us for one, do try to look out for us. We start about 9:30 Central Time, and we go, man, just kind of whatever it takes. Tonight, I'm here to talk a little bit about Gunpla some more. I was going to try a couple different camera angles, a little more than I usually try when I do my videos, but I'm going to do this in the form of my action figure reviews. I've got a few new tricks up my sleeve, and I'm going to try them out. Please bear with me while I try some of these things out. Let's get into it. A few weeks ago, BroHades, which is a community leader here in the Kansas City Plastic Models group, as I like to call Kaplamo, he challenged us all to toy around with 30-minute mission builds. The only rules he set was just make it out of 30-minute missions. We all took a big vote. We said maybe we're going to do it only with 30-minute missions, or mix and match with anything else. You know, dealer's choice. Go as hardcore as you possibly want to. And we didn't really figure that out. By the time we closed the polls, we realized that solid 30-minute mission model was the winner. But then we realized the poll wasn't quite closed, and by the end of it, and we swung back around, it wasn't winning. So it was kind of, some of us started going off in the solo, clean, 30-minute mission build only, mix and match within just 30-minute mission. And then the others of us were like, hey, I'm going to go buck wild. I'm going to put, Gundam parts on this, or I'm going to, mix in anything else, right? So the idea was, hey, let's all build some 30-minute missions, maybe get a few off the shelf at our local store, and, just kind of experiment, get people out of their shells. We have a lot of people that do just straight builds. We have a lot of people who just kind of do their own thing. But I think it was obvious the point of this was to get us to try something new, build something outside of just Gundam, and also get us talking, right? And I think it worked pretty well. So here I am, ready to show off my build and kind of give it a little bit of a review, right? And I'm going to walk you through the different kits that I used, the paint that I did, and the little modifications that I made to kind of make the figure that I made. Now, I did stick only to 30-minute missions. I was one of those people that voted that direction, so I figured I'd stay that way. Though, I made one little modification at the end that is outside of the 30-minute mission build. Either way, you'll see it when we get there. Let's take a look at what sets that I used. All right, here we are. These are the booklets of the kits that I bought. The main kit here is the Portanova Yellow. The colors don't matter because, you just paint them and do whatever you want. But I did get inspiration by the colors. So maybe as you look through, you can see a little bit, maybe you can start to guess what I built, right? But here he is, a standard kind of soldier type unit. Has this little bit of a dome head and this very large calf. If it was a muscle, it would be a calf muscle. I really enjoyed that kind of ball there. I thought that look was cool. Also, I noticed that his ankles were on rockers and then had a ball pivot for the foot itself. And I was like, man, I can get some really dynamic poses out of that. These are the kind of things that I look at when I'm going to, go off and customize something. I need as much freedom as possible. Anyways, this is that model. I only used the figure himself. I did not use any of the accessories. As far as accessories and armor goes, I stepped over here into this option armor for Commander, the Seal Nova exclusive blue-gray. Blue-gray being the color here. This color was important to me. It also kind of keyed me into an idea. I saw it and I was like, man, I want to make some kind of big chunky guy. And then my mind went elsewhere, and then I picked up the Portanova and whatever. Colors really help is what I'm getting at. So from this set specifically, I used this chest piece. I did use the headpiece, but I altered it heavily. And I used both of these little shoulder flares, just the flat parts. Let's see, we can probably get a better picture on the back here. Yes. So I used these flat parts here, but and I'm gonna, oops, didn't mean to bring that over, but I actually cut out this section here, and I only used the flaps on both sides, which was nice. Let's see, where's the mask? Here's the mask here, and it's a little further away, but there's a little dividing area here, and I actually cut that off and mounted it at a separate angle, and then I separated this joint here and opened it up. And this is actually kind of important to know because as I learned, the Seal Nova and the Portanova are two totally different models, and they have different mount types on their mask here, or on their head for any type of like mask. So I had to cut holes into my Portanova's face to get this mask to mount up. Now this chest piece, I used it as is, all good. Oh, I also use these little back fins here. Real nice. So this, and that. That's all I used out of this kit. This kit did come with some leg pieces that I thought were really cool, but that actually does not work on the Portanova either, because if you notice, it's just from like the shin down, whereas the Portanova has the whole orbis calf muscle, if you will, that connects to the knee. So a little bit different, and what I wanted really was that calf, so didn't use that, but did definitely keep it off to the side. So lastly, I used another for the Seal Nova in this gray color. This big old hand and the fins that came off the shoulders here. And then it also has this little helmet with this, I don't know, big phalange that comes off the back. I used it as well. And if you notice, I have two sets of that. So using two sets of that, the real thing that only gets me is two of the big hands. And I thought the big hands are super cool. Kind of also helped when I was changing my mind on what I wanted to make. Again, starting with the idea of a chunky guy and moving it over to something completely different. Either way it goes, I used, let's see, yeah, the hand times two. I used this piece here times two. I used both of these shoulder flares, if you will. I don't really have as good picture here, whereas I had nice flat ones on the other one. But that's all I used off of this one. I used two, yeah, both shoulders on, or both of this little flange on both. Used this little flare piece on both. Made my own kind of different shoulder piece, if you will, making it flare out there. And then, of course, the hand. Now, I did end up altering the hand, and you'll see that here in just a minute. Either way, pick these up at, for the additional pieces, $5 each. And then I think this one was just over 10, maybe 15. Either way, a lot cheaper than buying a lot of Gundam stuff, and I got all this extra Gunpla to use from here on, right? Or Plamo, whatever. I got these extra pieces I can use that I didn't, take advantage of for this model. So I have a bunch off of this too. Even though I did use most of the frame, there's a bunch of pieces that I can now use in different builds. Very exciting. So without further ado, let's go over and take a look. All right, so one last time here before my reveal. This is the model that I used, the Portanova, and here's what I ended up with. Between all those different parts, I put together a Wolverine. Very much into Marvel Comics and very much into the X-Men. So, very happy with that. So now to really get into it, let me get my hands in here. I painted him up with Tamiya paints, and I top coated him with a Pledge floor surfacer. I used the Pledge Revive. Oh my goodness. He was in a little too much of an action pose, and now he's falling apart. A little foot guard there. Very, very cool. As you can see, those blue shoulder pieces, I cut that section out, like I said, and mounted it right on the middle of the shin there to make Wolverine's big boots. I took just some PLA and made a little belt out of it. And you know what? I can take that off. You can see I just made 2 strips across that went around the pivot for the ab crunch there, and threw 2 straight ones on there because I didn't want to hide up any of the detail on anything else, and still wanted to have that belt. Made a little X, painted it gold. For the belt, I did do a chrome silver with a couple of coats of clear red on top, trying to make it look a little metallic. Coming up to the chest here, I decided to paint the main block black so that when you look at it straight on, it looks like the tiger stripes are peeking around, coming up over the shoulder here. Very Wolverine look here. Now to kind of bring him down, try to get that eye level. Sorry, I'm peeking over my shoulder at my monitor. The head, the mask, I should say. I tried to fashion that up so that you could, let's see if I bring it in, does it get the light? You can see the red orb back in behind the mask, and you can see I kind of cut it up like a baseball cap. Right? Really, really fun there. The shoulder pads I made out of the standard Portanova shoulders, but I did attach all those pieces like I mentioned, right? There's that, what I kept calling a flange, poking up off the corner here. Oh man, that toe piece keeps falling off. Probably should put a little fingernail polish or something on there. But yeah, it pops out, and then that little kind of rounded section I used as the other slice there. On the back, you got those fins that I mentioned. Sorry for clearing my throat. It's that time of year. And then I cut, using the on the hand here, the pinky and thumb were attached, and I cut them straight off and just used the 3 claws. And if you wanted to, you could separate the claws out one by one, but I didn't want it to be like fingers. I wanted it to be like Wolverine's claws that all kind of, they work together. So they do get to bend a little bit, so you get to make more action-y poses. If you played Marvel vs. Capcom 2, they really like flex around a lot more than you would imagine. I really like that take on Wolverine, that Marvel vs. Capcom take. But yeah, there's my guy. Oh, and of course, I gotta point out, this flesh tone I mixed myself. Yellow, well, brown, white, and yellow. Brown is the base, of course. And then I tried to do my best at scribing in some stripes, almost tiger stripe-esque, and then I did try to panel line those cut stripes to make it look like arm hair. And I figured if they didn't come out good and I got them a little wiggly, then all the better, because it'll look more like arm hair. And there we are, Wolverine. Now, this was all 30-minute mission, and since we kind of opened the gates to do anything else, I am going to make him some accessories that are not going to be 30-minute mission. They're from another series, and but they're accessories for sure. So do keep an eye out for that. And yeah, this has been pretty fun. I did go through some trials and tribulations with this model. You can tell the paint's not perfect. I screwed up with my top coat at first, and it caused a lot of the parts to become what I rate online is called brittle, but to me it felt more like soft and dissolving. I had to use some tricks with baking soda and CA glue to make to make seams and repair those bridge those gaps and repair those seams and all kinds of different things, because a lot of the pieces just fell apart. They just cracked and fell apart. And yeah, I don't know. I believe that's what I've read online as, it can become brittle when you go to do your panel lining. And it was just bad news. It was bad news bears all the way around. So either way, it was a lot of fun, a lot of learning. I'm not scared of this at all. I'm not backing down at all. I'm still way into this, and I have plans for so much more. I talked about a lot of those plans on my my stream I did last night. Well, this the most recent stream that I did building Gunpla with my wife. Talked about some of what my plans are going further, not just with this, but just with my Gunpla addiction here, my current main squeeze. So yeah, if you want to hear more about that, you can always question me on my stream or hit me up in the comments. But there we are. This is my submission to BroHades community challenge of, hey, let's build some 30-minute mission and go wild, right? So this is where I'm at. I would like to go even more wild, but yeah, this is the moves that I made currently. So you know what? Before I sign off, let's get a closer look at this head, because I did do quite a bit of cutting in this. So all right, yeah, you can see that pretty good. You can see I cut, this piece was attached to the rest. It was like one big dive down, and then you could see in just from underneath. And then there was a thing connecting across the bottom there. So I cut out the connection. I cut this out, mounted it in at a different angle. Like I said, I had to cut holes into this guy. You can kind of see the old holes, the original holes for how it mounts. And I just really had to do a lot of work to it. So I don't know, I feel pretty attached to it. All this effort I had to put into it. And see how it all hangs off that way. But literally, I looked at all the Portanovas and I was like, man, I can do something with these. And then I saw this mask and that chest piece, and I was just like, oh boy. And then I saw the hands, and it was just like, Wolverine is right here. I can start making some X-Men. But yeah, that's gonna do it for us. Dang it. I really need to fix that. I need to do something about that. That's embarrassing. But it's not all that bad. I got to do a lot of learning. I got to have a lot of fun with it. And there we go. Let's give it some spins here. I wish I had an automated one, you know. I can have all kinds of other stuff, but I have not bought myself a turntable. All right. Well, at the end of the day, I think what really matters, per usual, the same question I always ask. How's your mother? And you know, I do care. But you should care too. Go find out. Ask her, how's she doing? And if you don't got one, ask someone else's. It's all important. Moms are pretty important. All right. Well, you guys take it easy. Please come back. And thanks for joining me. How's your mother?